Right up the road, the so-called Battle of the Beltways.
We're gonna win.
What do you think? Plenty of purple with some burgundy to boot. This much anticipated matchup went the way of the Ravens.
This is the type of games we're going to be in, so, get used to the environment and, we're never out to fight.
What to make of Sunday's close but not quite enough performance up in Baltimore?
At the end of the day, man, we just focus on us, man. We got to go out there and we got to execute.
And preparing for the Panthers on this week's Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus.
The man
Call somebody.
is back,
Call
y'all.
somebody.
We're
He's
back.
Call
He's
your
back.
mama, call your daddy.
We're back and we're back.
We're back.
Tony McGee,
He's back, y'all.
We're back. Tony McGee. Come on.
Tony McGee, Pro Football Plus. Tony McGee, Pro Football Plus. Tony McGee, Pro Football Plus. Tony McGee. What's up?
Welcome to Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus. As you will recall, last week we had a little conversation about them playing these Ravens. I, for one, thought the Ravens was the best team in the league, or either one or two. Other people said, "Oh, they're going to beat those Ravens." I didn't think that. But one thing that we did see this week, if the Ravens are 1 or 2, Washington can't be no more than 3 or 4. And I tell you what, Donna, they could have won that game. I bought her some horses, so we're going to have to jump on top of that. Donna Hopkins was there at the game with the big fella, Big Zoe, and they got some things to tell us. Said they saw some players getting knocked down, ran over, not playing hard. Mike Jones come out of the station to write a little bit. I mean, thank you for coming, sir. We're glad that you're here.
Glad to be here.
You always bring so much to it. Then Alex, you and I was the only one who really wanted to say last week that
You're right, Tony.
I know right. They didn't want to hear that. Now, if we all could put on our fur coats because it will get cold when Cool start talking, boy, G, we've been missing you, man. It's been hot in the studio. Everybody been saying, "Where's the G?" And when you came back last week packing them glasses, come on, man.
He took them off this week.
Why you take them off, G?
Didn't work.
Well, let's talk about didn't work. And one thing we can say, and I know I am not a homer. I'm going to tell the truth. And one thing that I did see in this, I saw improvement. I saw improvement on both sides. Now I'm a little bit worried that without the big running back, it really made our offensive line struggle somewhat. But they played all right. But I am really worried about the defensive line. But let's get to offense first. Donna, when you take a look at this offense, everyone's talking about how the young boy is cool, and he is. Now, Daniels is getting the job done. Offensive lines look as if they need a running game to be good.
Tony, I don't think necessarily that's true. But one thing is when you look at Jayden Daniels and you look at this team after that Baltimore game, there was no quit at all. We saw a team that fought to the end and had opportunity to win. But what happened with Baltimore is that they knew going in that they were going to have a hard time running against one of the best teams that stopped the run, and that's what they did. And Washington was a little slow in getting their offense generated, but I thought that Kingsbury called a safe game, and I think that all the past games that he's been aggressive in his offense, I didn't think that he was as aggressive as he needed to be in striking downfield. The Baltimore secondary was one of the weak areas of their team, and they didn't really go downfield until late in the fourth quarter when they hit Zach, with 3 or 4 passes. But I don't think that they took enough strikes down there. And then I thought that they didn't let Jayden do what he does, and that is run. And even though they had a spy on him, when he did break out and when they did allow him to run, he did pick up yards. So I thought that the offensive scheme this week was a little bit too safe to play a team like Baltimore when you had to really go at them. But when you walk away from this game, you can take some positives from this game, as Jayden probably, as Coach Quinn talked about in his presser today, he really stepped up with some of the throws, the one to Terry for the touchdown and so forth. So there were some good things, but I still want them to be aggressive like they have in the last few games where, they struck downfield.
Well, when I look at the whole thing, and as we look at it, I disagree with you on a few of these items that you said. We'll get to those later in the show.
Of course you would, but
I know that you're struggling right now. So somebody get the crayons out and write her a note and tell her that she was wrong about half of it. But she's right about that.
I want to know what I was wrong about, because
the offensive line, number one, that you would have liked to see him run more. He can't do that. We can't have that. We only need him to run. Because we watched RG3 run against Baltimore and end his career.
He's not RG3, Tony. He's not RG3.
He's not as strong as RG3, I don't think.
He's stronger.
Okay, what do you think about that, Alex?
I hate to be in the middle here. I get your point, Tony. Donna, I will side with Tony on this. I think what makes Jayden Daniels great
you don't have to explain it to her.
We're 6 games into this. I get the sense he only runs when he has to. He's buying time in the pocket. When he's got to get out, he'll buy time. I think he's looking to throw. I think Robert Griffin III back in the day wanted to throw, but when he saw an opening and he was so gifted and so fast, he was gone. I think Lamar sometimes up in Baltimore, when he sees an opening to run, he takes it. I think Jayden would rather scan the field, look at his second, third, fourth option. I ain't got that. I got to go, and I can go. Donna, I don't know that they want Jayden Daniels just to run. I think he's so gifted and he can run when stuff isn't there. I thought in a loss, all this did for Commanders fans was confirm what they've seen the last 5 weeks. This dude is great. They didn't win the game. He was great against that defense in their place. This game was nip and tuck. The 2 throws to McLaurin were otherworldly. Okay, here's the difference. The last 4 games, they beat the Giants. They stink. They beat the Bengals. They're not very good. They beat the Cardinals. They stink. And they beat the Browns, and they stink. They played a bona fide top 3, maybe top 1 NFL power in their place. And with that quarterback, without his number 1 running back, having this close, I think that's a positive. I don't think the solution, Donna, is for
He did good, but
they handcuffed him. They handcuffed him. I don't care what you and Tony say.
But why you say that? Well, you know what? Let's wait. Let me jump because I want to get to Mike and G and the big fella on this. G, the one thing they did not do, and she's saying they handcuffed him, but as I saw, it looked like they went to the receivers more this week than in the past and made it count. So how did they handcuff him? G, as you know how it is to see a running quarterback and you're a receiver. You'd rather see him getting the ball to you. The receivers are involved this week, so I think they ran enough of it. But I'd like to see those receivers. They got involved when the game was kind of hot. I want them to see from the beginning to the end get involved. But I really saw a big improvement.
Yeah, I mean, I think he did. I mean, he's a good quarterback, a really good quarterback, quite honestly. But when they did try to run him, they stopped him. When they had plays that was meant for him to run, he got stopped. Just what it was. I think what he is, he's a good quarterback and dropping back and making a decision to run when he needs to run. I think he's great about that, making decisions not to run when he doesn't need to run because he is a good passing quarterback. The defense, on the other hand, I'm not sure what Donna saw. He's talking about the 90-yard drive, 90-yard drive. You're not supposed to drop down the field, 90-yard drive, 90-yard drive, 90-yard drive. That is not good defense. It's just not. They had a flashback to how they started the season when the defense was just kind of okay.
The bad thing about it, you say you don't know what she saw. She was at the game.
Are we talking about the Commanders' defense? I didn't mention the Baltimore's defense or the Commanders.
I'm talking about
the offense.
And I'm talking about the Commanders' defense. The Commanders' defense. You can't let somebody drop down the field 3 times.
Jerry, you did.
90-yard drives. That
Wait a
doesn't
minute,
work.
man. Why you jump on the We got them next segment. We're going to eat them up. Don't worry.
That's right. I
90-yard
didn't even
drives.
talk about that. But Tony, you said that the Commanders
I
really
scored
looked
20
better in
plus
their
points. I'm
passing
supposed to
game,
win.
but they did
If I
not
scored
use
20
their
plus points, I'm supposed to win.
But they
You
did
got a
not
point
use
there.
their passing game that much.
Period. If I scored 20 plus points, I'm supposed to win.
And you know what? Solomon know what he's talking about because when we played, guys,
17 points
score.
or less,
Big Betty
baby.
Bone told
17
us
points or less.
if our
you win the football
offense
game.
scores 17 points, we better have held their offense to 17, and our offense will score more than that. So anytime you score 24 points, you're supposed to win that game.
100%.
I have to agree with him, and we're going to get to the defense in the second half. But, Mike, I want to see, did you see an overall improvement in this offense? Now, we didn't have the big gun running the ball the way we would like to have had, but at the same time, they were balanced. They were able to come back, and they stood toe-to-toe with them, but nobody can stand toe-to-toe with those Ravens when they're running the ball. But overall, tell me what you saw with the offense, and we already know Mr. Daniels is the truth.
Yeah, exactly. Jaden Daniels is the truth. I would have loved to have seen them at full force with Brian Robinson back there go toe-to-toe with this Ravens team because I felt like they were a little bit, lacking in the run game. Now, they did use some short passes and things like that to kind of, compensate for not having the run game. But I felt like, yeah, they played well. This is a team that is building. They are young. They were going up against a bona fide team that is established. And, so they should have lost that game. But there was no flinch in them. They continued to fire away on offense and, answer back. I would have liked, like Gary said, I would love for their defense just to come up with a couple stops late in the game. Offensively, though, look, it was pretty good. Again, you weren't at full force. I was glad that they didn't throw a bunch of design runs in there for Jaden because of how strong that defensive front is. I agree with Donna. They probably need to be a little more aggressive going downfield, taking some shots just here and there, just a few more. But again, their offensive line isn't great. So they're trying to move down the field methodically, get the ball out of Jaden's hands quickly. And so I didn't really have a problem with the overall game plan. I feel like every week we see Jaden do something that we are like, wow, okay, this kid's all right. This kid is legit. And this week was no different.
Well, you know what? It's kind of jumping the gun a little bit with everything. But Solomon, when you were there at the game with Donna, and since she was there with, I don't know, she must have been distracted because she didn't see all the game. But in this offense, do you see them, if they don't get the running back, can they survive this year without that running back every play? Because once the running back start getting hurt, and see, that was our main thumper right there. What did you see? As in, enough about defense, this offense, they came back each time and found a way to score or move the ball.
Well, the biggest thing is, I agree with everybody on the set, was missing Brian Robinson was a big key. Back to the days of when my father was out there hurting people and striking fear, we had a two-back combination. It was John Riggins and Joe Washington. They would throw John Riggins at you to just power crunch you, and then all of a sudden you would get a speedy Joe Washington. That was really what crushed us this past Sunday, is they were used to Austin Eckler, and they were able to stop him. And then that actually is what gets Jaden actually free. Once our running backs open up the run, then it allows him to. So the fact that we didn't have that back and forth backs, kind of like the Lions did last night when they jumped all over the Cowgirls, where they had Gibbs coming down your throat and then had Montgomery. I really feel like that's what hurt us. Definitely on offense, that's what hurt us the most.
Well, I tell you what, I like the offense now. Anybody can chime in, and G, we haven't seen you for a couple of weeks. What would you change on this? And I know they got Terry involved, but it seems as though whenever they go to Terry, and we only got a minute or so here, whenever they go to Terry, it's do or die. And he seems to be coming through more and more each week. Now, I want to ask you this quick question, and you can wait till the next segment. When they're not going to him, is that because he's being covered or he's just not in the game plan? I'll hold your point there. I know defense is next, but I want to ask you that because I want the truth about these wide receivers and stuff, because I'm looking in the future. and we may have to depend on them a lot. And I want to see what the game plan is. I don't want to be caught here with someone like Donna who think that, oh, I forgot Donna. Okay, we'll be back in a moment.
Right now.
People don't know the real story of what happened.
It was an unbelievable series of events and an unbelievable time.
Their championship was taken away from them in 1969. We are living in their championship now.
50-some years later, good is coming from it. They are impacting state after state after state after state.
And we're going to show the world how to love.
Welcome back. And as I told you when we were going on, I want to ask G this question. And, you know, once we get to that, G, we're going to go to the locker room because these players, you can start to sense that they feel good about themselves. But my question to you was, these wide receivers, right now they're starting to get to them. Running backs are getting a little bit injured. Offensive line is still learning. We have to count on them this year. Are they the ones we can count on? I'm talking about the whole group, G.
Yeah, I mean, I like how Jaden, quite honestly, because at some point in time, you need Terry to be a decoy so you can open up other things in the game. And that's what he did. He got his H-backs involved. He got his tight end involved. I mean, that's important to be able to get all your different, receiving crew involved in the football game. And I think he did a good job of doing that. The biggest thing is we didn't, I'm pretty sure time of possession went to Baltimore. I have no clue, but I really think time of possession went to Baltimore. Yeah. And the key is, the more time you have to score, the more points you score. It's just what we typically control time of possession. The last two games before Baltimore, but this time we did control time of possession. So it's important that our defense plays the way they did the previous 2 weeks, not how they did the first 2 weeks, and then this last game.
And Donna, they kind of when you go to the locker room, you kind of got the feeling that these guys, they know that they're on to something right now. And they know that if they continue to improve, that they could be one of the best offenses around.
Me too. But just so everybody knows, you never have a great game when you lose. You don't play great when you lose. I don't care what the position is. It's not a great game. It's a great game if you win. It's not a great game if you lose. You didn't play great if you lose. I don't care what the position is.
Yeah, Tony, Coach Quinn said in his presser that they like to, as far as the run pass, to be a little balanced. They normally try to do about 55 plays or so, but they only got to about 40. But let's go to the locker room to see what the players had to say about this game and moving on to Carolina.
Didn't execute everything that we needed to come out with a win, but awesome opportunity. A team coming off the record from last year, you're not going to get a ton of these games. You play a fourth place schedule. You have to take advantage of these games. I think we are going to be able to learn a ton from playing in a tough road environment like this. I think it's going to end up being an awesome game for us in the long run. Want the win, but not going to just hang our heads and beat up about a loss. I think it's a game that we can go back, learn from, and it's going to make us a better team in the end.
This, you have to have adversity in order to grow in circumstances like this, and I think we have a team that is bought into the culture and understand what we can do. I mean, that's a good football team that we just played at home. Props to them. And, from this loss, we're definitely going to learn a lot from it. And we're going to learn what type of football team we are from going from this loss to the next week. So
got to be able to play just a little better, It's going to take 10% more to beat a team like that's played together for a long time at a high level. And we just got to play better. It comes down to execution in this league. They just executed a little better than us. But for a team that's consistently in the AFC Championships, playing long into the postseason, we felt like we gave them our best shot. And even then, we feel like we left a little bit on the table.
You know, DQ, you just see the look in his eye. He believes in this group that we have. We believe in the group that we have. And we just got to focus on the details going forward. Not that we haven't in the past, but when you get into a game like this where it's back and forth, those small plays, every play matters. And like I said, you got to give credit to them because they made the plays to win.
There's just things here and there that execution aspects of the game. With a team like that, you have to be on point on everything. So we were just shy of that, and obviously it showed.
No one's got too high from the past 4 wins. No one is going to get too low from this one game. This is a long season. It's a marathon. We got to continually get better. I preach it all the time. The team we are today cannot be the team we are in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month from now, 2 months from now. We just got to continue to improve in every aspect. Continue to develop chemistry with Jaden. Keep letting him do his thing. Improve on the run game, tackling, all the fundamental stuff that wins football games in this league. We just got to continue to improve on.
I like the attitude. I like what they're saying. I like the way they're looking forward. They're not looking back. They're looking how they can improve. And if I remember right, I saw the G-Man them do that. I saw the people on my team do that. And that is the makings of a good team. But as you know, you got to have the makings of a good team. You got to have 3 facets to it. And have you heard these people trashing the defense earlier on this show? I don't know who those people are. I just invited them around. But at the same time, they were right. And, you know, I'm going to ask the big fella because I was talking a little bit about it to him about the defense because right now, this defense, I keep saying, and I hate to be redundant and say it over and over again, but they got rid of the wrong 2 guys. I mean, and then the guys they're bringing in, I like the defensive line part, but it still seems like they're playing, you know, with a person short of the defensive backfield and the linebacker state. Big Zoe, you're at the game, and what you looking around for? Big fella, what you looking for?
Has anybody seen number 93 or 94? My goodness. I mean, Pops, you know what it is. During the best teams we had you controlling one side and Dexter controlling the other, and we had the World Grant and rest in peace, Mr. Butts, coming out the middle. I know the young guy got hurt. I know he got hurt, but I don't even want to talk about he got hurt. He got hurt getting pancaked. So my thing is we're not getting any push up the middle. Now, I was definitely impressed with Dante Flowers. He had 2 sacks, and he controlled actually that edge. And actually, number 99, he didn't do bad on the other side too. What I mean by that is they actually kept Lamar in the pocket. But that's where your linebackers are supposed to eat. And that's why I was looking at. Bobby missed a couple big tackles. Frankie had a lot of injury last week, but I really feel like he was getting caught up in actually in the wrong hole. Then our corners, what can I say about them that they can't say about themselves?
Did we have some corners playing out there? I thought
Not
we were just
really.
playing with.
Not really.
Hey, Tony, but you know what? Okay. The defense, as Gary said earlier, we wanted to jump on them because, you know, when you think about Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers, and Derrick Henry, they were potent offense. I mean, they took it to them. They did what they were supposed to do. But what Washington did is they stacked the box trying to take away Derrick Henry, who still got 130 plus yards. Jay Flowers was the one that was eating them alive in the middle of the field and nobody picked up. But the thing too is when you stack the box to take away one area of the team, then you have to compensate somewhere else. Listen to this. Baltimore final 6 possessions resulted in 3 touchdowns, 2 field goals, 7-play drive that ran out the clock, and then Jackson 323 yards, 1 touchdown, and he took advantage of them stacking the box. That's what they did, and Washington could not counter in what Baltimore was throwing at them. But Jay Flowers is the one that was eating them alive, and it was the runs after the catch that hurt Washington the most.
Yeah, it did hurt them. At the same time, if you take a look at this whole thing, we've been lamenting for the whole year how the defense hasn't been what it should be and everything, and they have to come along. But at the same time, you can see improvement in things. And one thing I saw on Sunday was they had a play where they were trying to get down to the red area, and they still were trying to keep them out. And they threw a short pass to about the 4 or 5 yard line. And right over there, you saw 7 or 8 Washington players over there. That's always the beginning to me of a good defense. Mike, can you tell me that you saw some improvement in this defense, or where should they go with the defense? Should they go out and get some more people before the deadline, or what?
I don't know if they'll be able to pull something off for the deadline, but they definitely need help. You know, up the middle, they need help getting to the quarterback, and their secondary is the big area. Now, you can help your secondary a little bit if you can get some pressure on the quarterback so he can't hold the ball quite as long. But the secondary has been an area of weakness. It's been something that I felt like they didn't devote as much resources as they needed to in the offseason. And then also, your edge rushers, they got Fowler, but I thought that maybe, they could have gotten, some little more help there as well, especially because you had gotten rid of Sweat and Young. But what did you replace them with? So it's a work in progress. But the thing is look, you got to get stops. But this was just such a potent team because it was late in the game and you knew, okay, you had to stop Derrick Henry. But then Lamar Jackson picks up a run. So you're trying to focus on Henry, then Lamar hurts you, or you focus on the two of them, and then Flowers hurt you. It was a pick your poison defense. And then, the other thing that was concerning is Mark Andrews has been a shell of himself. We have not seen him all year long. I had him on my fantasy team. I had to drop him because he is just like such minimal impact. And then all of a sudden this week, he was making some big plays for them. So this is a potent defense, potent offense that Baltimore has. But Washington, you know who the usual suspects are. You've got to account for them. And I didn't feel like they did account for them as well as they needed to.
Hey, Tony, one other thing is you're going to be out without John Allen for the rest of the season, but you're going to be out with another defensive lineman in Armstrong who was nicked up a little bit, had to leave the game early.
Yeah.
So you probably won't have Armstrong this week either.
Well, see, we got to hope that doesn't happen. But if it do, then schematically it's up to the coaches to make some changes. When I say that, as we said last year, you stop depending on these linemen to do one-on-one when they're second stringers. You put together what we call games where they change position, and that'll help them. They're going to have to help them. But one thing that I saw, and Alex, I'm going to ask you this because you're probably the second oldest guy on the show. that don't mean you're old, though. But I'm going to ask you one thing. Wagner, we all knew him when he was the world. He's not, he still plays well and everything, but someone was telling me that they saw him miss a couple of assignments and stuff. But is he an improvement good enough to help this team get to the playoffs?
So much of what he brings to this team is sort of leadership and intangible. Obviously, thanks for bringing up the age thing, Tony. Obviously, he's up there himself. And I don't know that anybody thinks he is going to be the guy at that spot for the next 5 to 10 years, but given Dan Quinn and culture and change and leadership and players connecting and all of those sort of intangibles that sound great, but I actually think they have a serious impact on football teams, which we've seen so far. Yeah, listen, he's probably not the guy he was 5 years ago, and I don't know that any of us are the people we were 5 years ago, and we're not playing linebacker in the NFL today. He's not the long-term solution there. He's part of I don't want to call it a quick fix because I don't think this team coming into the season thought they were a player or two away from contending for a championship. What I think they thought, and I think they were right, was they were a few players away from changing the culture and the attitude and the vibe around this team. He's made some great plays. He's missed some plays. That goes for everybody that's ever put on the uniform, even yourself. I will say, just summing up the defense quickly, Baltimore's great. And Tony, you've been saying you think they're the best team in football. You've said that for 3 or 4 weeks. When they were 1-2, you said you thought they were the best team in football. They're really good. Lamar, the running back, Zay Flowers, the tight ends, both of them, they're great. Defense struggled. Defensive backfield, at times, there was nobody in the camera shot when Zay Flowers caught the ball when I'm watching on television. That's not good. They'll do that to a lot of teams, including Washington. It'll be better when they're facing the Carolinas and the Clevelands and the Arizonas of the world, and we've seen that.
And we will have to find out when they play them. And, G, I only got about 30 seconds, but I got to ask you this. I got to look at the receivers, and I got to look at this team, and I want you to digress and go back to when you first saw that your team was coming together as a team. And I think you three receivers are the people that made that happen. Can you see that happening with this team?
Offensively, I like what I've seen so far. I really do. I mean, I think we'll be okay. We just got to make sure that our defense continues to play consistently. That's the key. I mean, we're scoring points. Even when we don't have the balls, but we still score 20+ points. So I like what the offense is doing, and I think the defense is going to catch on as well.
Hey Tony, let's go to the locker room. First of all,
no, we got to go to break first, Donna. I got to pay these bills.
You got to hear what the defense got to say, Tony. Your defensive players. Before you go to the break, let's hit the locker room first. Then we can go right to the break.
You know what? Whenever you got a chance to put them down, you want to take every second of it. Okay, let's go to the locker room.
I know you don't want to hear it.
They just showed everything they showed on the film. You know, they just had perfect plays on perfect downs. And just made more plays than us.
They executed better than we did. As far as the game plan, they did a lot of things that we prepared for, that we felt we prepared for, but we just got to execute better, communicate better.
Feeling like there's stuff that we need to clean up. Feeling like defense, we was in a position to make some plays to get the ball back to the offense. I think everything else I just got to watch on film. Right. Yeah, I don't think they had a couple little wrinkles, but nothing too crazy. I mean, they got 8 and 22, and you got to figure out a way to stop them, and regardless of what they put in, they're going to try to get them the ball. So,
how hard was it for you guys? You want to try and take away the run, but they're hitting you with the pass. How hard was it with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. When you get the run game going, then it kind of opens up everything for them, and so we need to do a better job in taking away the run and finally get some pressure.
We just got to be better on the small details. A lot of penalties today, including myself. I'm not really happy about it, so just got to go back and double in on the work.
And this is one game. What do you take away from this game moving forward?
I feel like we should see more positive than negative from this game because like I said, we played a great team that we consistently see in the playoff, and that's what we want to do. That's our goal. So now we kind of see the areas where we need to work at to really get over that hump and start getting these consistent wins against those big teams like that.
What was the message from Coach Quinn after this game to the team?
We fought hard and we're gonna keep fighting. Like I said, he saw it more positively than negatively. Obviously, like it stings, but it should sting. Like we all care about winning, and everyone is not satisfied with how we played, and everybody's hungry to get back to work. So that's a message they send us.
He's just challenging us, as a team, as coaches, just challenge us as a team. This is the type of games we're going to be in. So, get used to the environment, and we're never out to fight.
Never out to fight is the most important thing, and we gave them that time. But at the same time, we have to take a look at this team and the total team. So we might as well hit a little bit of the special team right here, since Donna Hopkins wanted to dog them so bad that she wanted to come in the segment late. Yeah, the defense was bad and everything, but special teams has been very good this year, and the kicker's been the best. When we come back, we'll mention them, but we got to go around the league because things are changing. And don't be surprised that Donna Hopkins is not sitting there, because we're looking at new personnel there. Is our trade date up? Is our trade date up yet? We'll be back in a moment.
I will still be here.
Next!
People don't know the real story of what happened.
It was an unbelievable series of events and an unbelievable time.
Their championship was taken away from them in 1969. We are living in their championship now.
50-some years later, good is coming from it. They are impacting state after state after state after state.
And we're going to show the world how to love. Welcome back. As I told you, We're not just walking over the special teams, but let's leave them alone while they're doing well. Let the kicker keep kicking. So what do? We got to look at these next 4 games. These will be the games that determine where this team is going, how much more they have to build, who do they need to get. The 4 games are against good opponents, but you have to win each and every one and play them separately and not worry about all 4. As I take a look at this, you got to look at that first guy. And I tell you what, could be dangerous. Mike, tell me about the Panthers.
Oh, Tony, I mean, I guess you could look at this as maybe be a trap game. You're coming off of a loss and, you're down a little bit, but you hope that they bring the fire because any given Sunday, right? But this is the game that they should win. The Panthers are one of the worst teams in the league. The whole Bryce Young experiment was a disaster. They've gone to Andy Dalton and he's stabilized their offense a little bit, but their defense is terrible. And that's something that was not expected because yes, they got rid of Brian Burns, traded him to the Giants, but they had a lot of continuity as far as coaches on that defensive staff and some players as well. But this is a team that has not done well, by any category. So Washington should be able to come out there, get their groove back, and do well against them. They've got an older quarterback in Andy Dalton, but we should, see Washington's defense get after him if they can get after him. And rattle him a little bit, hit him, that should help because their defense is, their offense is kind of one-dimensional. Their defense, like we said, doesn't scare anybody. And so we should be able to see Washington hopefully be two-dimensional on offense and get back in the win column and start building some momentum for another win streak.
And as he was saying there, Donna, that they have to do this for the simple aspect. Each opponent that they get is going to be a little bit tougher. And you tell me, what do you think about opponent number 2? And we're looking at only these 4 games now.
Yeah, Tony. I mean, you look at the schedule of this Commanders team and what they did in the front end and then moving ahead. I mean, they know they got divisional games coming up too. But I think, like Mike said, if they can take care of Carolina first and not looking ahead too much because they don't want to do that. But I think that this Commanders team is getting better in so many areas that they can build on that facing their next, like you said, 4 opponents. So I think that they're setting themselves up in good shape. They were on the road quite a bit the first part of the season, and now, some home games. Alumni weekend, I want to throw that in against the Carolina Panthers, so it'll be important for them, hopefully, to get this win. But I think they've set themselves up, Tony, the way they're building this team to really be strong in this next stretch of the season.
Alex, are you surprised that where they are at this point?
No. I mean, listen, they've played 2 decent teams. Tampa Bay, and they lost the opener. They played a great team in Baltimore, and they lost there Sunday by a touchdown. They played 4 pretty bad teams. We talk about this, and they won against those teams. This game, they got to win this game. I mean, these games, Alumni Weekend, also known in college as homecoming, okay? And normally in homecoming, you schedule somebody that you think you can beat. I don't know that they thought about this ahead of time, but they should beat this team. Then they have the Bears, okay? And that's sexy. That's Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels. And 2 weeks ago, it was, Jaden Daniels is the much better quarterback. The number 2 pick is better than the 1 pick. Like people talk about RG3 and Andrew Luck and, the 1-2 thing. Well, now the Caleb Williams kid is showing he's pretty good too. So I know when folks look ahead, Commanders should win this game Sunday at home against a team with 1 win and Andy Dalton, God love him, that's the quarterback. Okay. Then the Bears come to town. That's sweet, Tone. So yeah, they've beaten the teams they should beat. They've lost to teams that they are probably not as good as, and they're 4-2, and they're probably where they ought to be, given the fact that the quarterback has been as good or better than advertised. If that doesn't happen, they're not 4-2 now. I think they're a little ahead of schedule. They're taking care of business against marginal at best football teams, and they've lost 2 games to teams that are pretty good.
See, I was always on a team with a lot of young players because I was the oldest, so I didn't always get the flair to it. But that's why I go back and ask G, since he's one of the young guys out there, and he can see the difference. And he's been to 2 or 3 Super Bowls. Should be in the Hall of Fame. G, as you take a look at this team, I'm gonna tell you, we've analyzed the next 2 games. We got a couple of more, but at the same time, do you see this team? And right now, I'm asking you these questions over and over. Can the wide receivers carry them for a few weeks?
Yeah, quite honestly, I mean, I like our backup running backs as well. I mean, I was okay. Don't get me wrong. You always want to be at full capacity. You want to have your best players out there on the field at all times. But I was fine with the running backs they had. I think the running backs did an okay job, quite honestly. I mean, I love number 30. I mean, he brings it every week. Every week he gets an opportunity, he brings it. So I think at the end of the day, I mean, if our defense plays well, we'll win multiple football games. Because the offense is going to play well. They're going to score 20-plus points every week.
Oh, I don't know about that, G. Wait a minute. Don't be right, Donna.
Every week. Every week. They're going to score 20-plus points.
I feel you, Gary.
Yeah, you would.
I'm just saying but if our defense plays like they did, take the last week's game away and the weeks before that, if they play like that every game, we'll win. It's just,
it can be dangerous. You're exactly right.
We have a complete game then because the offense, they're going to put up points. They need the ball. Give me the ball. Let me lead in time of possession. We'll score 40 points a game.
And you know what is really important, and we should be seeing that as now. We saw that when we played. I can remember when we were going to the Super Bowl, and Art Monk got hurt, but we had G was already he was number 1 anyway with Art, and we had different guys come in. No, G wasn't with Art. Excuse me. He came afterward. He was with Art when I was gone, but. What I'm saying is the guys step right up, and we had guys to step in, and you went to the Super Bowl with a team. And that's what I'm starting to see with this team. And that's why I made mention that when you saw 7 men tackle a guy down on the 2 or 3 yard line, or when you saw one thing that Donna made, I don't know, Big Solomon, when he was saying they kept them contained. Do you know how important that was to keep a quarterback like that contained in? That messes up their whole game plan. So I saw two important things that I saw improvement this week, and I hope they continue with it. But they can't look past. So, they got to look at each and every game at a time. And one thing we got to say, which unit is going to get better? Because you can't stay the same quicker, that will help. And to me, it's the offensive line. I want to see them dominate. I don't want to see them only dominate on the run. I want to see them dominate on the pass, because I can tell you what, we had the Hogs. We've always had the fun bunch, and we had Gary and them, and we had this crew and that crew. But when it came down to it, them Hogs getting down in the dirt is what made it happen. Same thing can happen here. Do you not feel that way, Mike?
I think it can. Again, it's a process, and I do think that these guys and the coaching staff are smart in the ways that they set them up to ease pressure on them. Because, there's some deficiencies. But if you are a smart coach, you can mask some of those deficiencies. You get the ball out of your hands. You mix in the run. You mix in the play action and things like that. And so that's why balance is so important. If you're just going to pass, then, your offensive line is going to be picked apart because they aren't, they're still developing. But if you can mix in the run and the pass and have the good balance to keep the defense off balance, then they will have the opportunity to continue to grow and continue to improve.
And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, y'all can say one thing. We're not just talking about the Commanders when we're speaking now. We're talking about how this league is going right now. You can see it in the NBA. You can see it in hockey. Now you see it here. You see it in baseball. The young players are taking over. It's their time right now. And as you can look at it, this is a young team. And one thing I did say a couple of weeks ago, we can't get ahead of ourselves on giving the quarterback too many accolades or putting the team down too much, but you can look at progress and be happy about it. So when we come back, we'll talk about going around the league, because I tell you what, I want one question answered. Are the Cowboys as bad as they seem to be? Woo, talking about cowgirls, you're talking about cow babies. We'll be back in a moment.
Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus Speakers Bureau offers you various opportunities to connect with former and current players, along with Tony and the crew. For more information, go to redmagplus.com, Speakers Bureau.
Box jump. Man, back in my day, I was a beast at this. But one reason why we do it with him, because he's like I said, he's a sprinter. The blocks is his best thing. That's his bread and butter. And this is explosion. So if you come out here and jump up, it's the same thing you simulate in the blocks. You explode, not the blocks. So I got him pausing and up with ankle weights on. And land it down quiet. You got to control it too. Step back down and explode up. It just simulates getting out the blocks. That's too loud. That's too loud. I gotta go quiet like that, huh? Yes. You coming closer to the Here you go.
Got thrown out at second base when he had a second opportunity. If that's not momentum, I don't know what is moving the face. Our hands get hot. They get hot. That's not momentum. Momentum is never sleeping.
It's all mental. See? It's all mental. You do it when you want to. You want to do it all the time. Yes. Explode. Imagine it's always exploding out those blocks when you're doing that. That's your mindset. As you're doing that, boom.
Well, Ricky Irvins with another great fitness tip, box jumps, trying to get our legs strong. So let's go around the NFL. I know, Tony, you talked a little bit about the Cowboys and what's wrong with them. They look like they're a train wreck. Are they looking at a coaching change soon? Tony, I'm starting with you.
I don't know if they're looking at the coaching change soon, but they should have made it last year. Doing it now doesn't mean anything to me. They're also looking for an excuse so they can get rid of the quarterback that's making 50 or whatever million a year. And as you look at it, they really haven't improved the team, and they put all they had was window dressing. Everybody gonna say, well, they had a great defense. When you have a defense that your leading pass rusher is he weighs about 225, and he's your leading pass rusher, that sooner or later that defense is going to fail. But Dallas is what you see, and that's what they are.
Well, they got destroyed. But Solomon, I'm coming to you next. Chicago. Let me go back. Cleveland. Should Deshaun Watson be benched at this stage of the game? I know that he's getting a lot of money. They gave up draft picks for him. But is it more about the team right now instead of a quarterback that's not getting the job done?
I mean, to me, as a person that's played on a team, it's more about the team. And my thing is, you're going to actually lose the rest of the team because they're seeing that you're not trying to do nothing new to change, or at least change the trajectory of the season. What's wrong with trying Jameis Winston? So my thing is, they're going to definitely lose the team if they don't make a change quick for the massage parlor guy. And my thing is, it's not going to stop him from getting massages.
I left my heart in the massage parlor.
I am not going to touch that. But let's go around the NFC North, looking at those teams right there. The Minnesota Vikings, one of the only teams left undefeated at 5-0. The Detroit Lions, they lose Hutchinson, their big defensive edge rusher for the season. So, Mike Jones, I'm coming right to you. Big game coming up this week between Minnesota Vikings and the Detroit Lions. Is the Vikings for real? How do you see this game playing out?
I think the Vikings are. When this season started and we saw that Sam Darnold was going to be what they were going to have to roll with at quarterback because J.J. McCarthy got hurt, I did not foresee this. But the thing that we have seen is that not only has Sam Darnold grown, but he also has a coach that understands how to support him. And then you have a defense that Brian Flores is one of the most aggressive defensive coordinators in the whole league. And so when you have a defense that gets key stops, gets off the field on third down, gets takeaways for you, sets you up in positive field position, that lightens the load on the quarterback. And Sam Darnold is capitalizing on that. So this is going to be a big game for them because, the Lions, like you said, they've lost Hutchinson. You've got to get pressure on Sam Darnold and force him into mistakes. But if you're not able to get to him because you're missing your top pass rusher, it could be hard for Detroit. I think this is going to be, Detroit's got an offense that they normally can score at will. They can run, they can pass, they've got all kinds of weapons, but how does Jared Goff do with Brian Flores, who will walk up 8 guys at the line? You don't know who's coming, bringing the pressure, then he drops the guys in the coverage. He can confuse even the best of quarterbacks. You saw him do it to Aaron Rodgers, and so that's really going to be a chess match, and I'm going to be watching here. And the winner of this could really determine the NFC North, even though we're still only almost at the halfway point of the season.
Good
well,
stuff.
The NFC North is probably the best, hottest division right now in football. Gary, I'm coming to you about the Green Bay Packers that, to me, ever since they had Jordan Love, put him at the quarterback, they have done so much better with that team. How do you see the Packers at this stage of the game? Like I said, that NFC North is neck and neck and neck. This is going to be one where everybody could possibly make the playoffs.
It's definitely a good division. I mean, it kind of reminds me of the NFC East back when we played, where every team was really good and you never knew what was going to happen in it. I mean, the Packers they're playing really good football right now. They really are, but so is the Texans, so that's kind of like a pick 'em, so to speak. I picked the Texans, but that's kind of a pick 'em. I could be completely wrong, quite honestly, because both teams are playing really well right now. But the Texans are playing strong too.
Hey, Tony, we talked a little bit about Chicago, Caleb Williams. He struggled at the beginning of the season, and I think they've taken a few pages from the Commanders of what they want him to do, because he seemed to have turned things around for those Bears who have won. They're 4-2. How do you see that Chicago team right now? Because they've got weapons on that team on both the offense and the defensive side, but it's Caleb Williams that has started to really play well, that has helped propel that team forward.
Perennial problem, and they've had drafted me in 1971, needed a quarterback then, and here it is 50 years later almost, and they still need one. That seems to always have been the problem there. If they can keep this young man stable and well, but build a whole team around him, it'll work out well. Can't use him too much. That's a tough division, and they're going to have a tough run. But I think this year may be the year that you get some noise from the Chicago Bears. With that being said, we have to take another break real quick and get out of here. We have to talk about it. We still haven't forgot about, we have our picks that you guys are doing, and we used to call it the restaurant challenge. But right now we got individuals, and we're going to add 2 or 3 more on, and right now it's pretty tight. But if you guys take a look at this show and you think you can make the picks, make the picks. And Donna will show you how it's going right now. Now, when I said for you to make the picks on the other ones, because we picking so bad, you don't want to follow us, and you'll see when we come back what I'm talking about.
In the Minute with Tony and Donna. You can catch them weekly on their podcast, and you can also subscribe to their YouTube channel, In the Minute.
One more thing.
Well, it's the fun time, and it's the pick times. And no, Tony, you're not leading. So this big game's up this week. The hot ones is the Lions at the Vikings and the Chiefs at the 49ers. So you see the results right there of who winning. Gary and myself are in the lead, but it's early in the season. But to our restaurants, the Glory Days, who's winning right now, but it's early in the season too. Crystal City Pubs, go get you some wings there. Kellogg's, you know what? You can get all multiple things. Get you some cereal in the morning.
We lead the world.
They lead the world. And then Crystal City Restaurant, you can get almost anything for your dinner. But Tony, it's exciting time for our restaurants challenge. It's early, and everybody, when I'm talking to them with their Monday night and Sunday night picks, let me tell you, if you think we're competitive, they're even more so.
All right. Well, speaking of competitive, we got to get out of here. But one thing I want all of you fans to know, when you're out there running and talking all that stuff and talking about who you want and what you want, know what you want. And one thing you got to know, do you just want to make a point, or do you want to make a difference? And if you want to make a difference, vote. That's all I'm going to tell you. Vote. And as I said, we never say goodbye. We say in the minute.
People don't know the real story of what happened.
It was an unbelievable series of events and an unbelievable time.
their championship was taken away from them in 1969. We are living in their championship now.
50 some years later, good is coming from it. They are impacting state after state after state after state.
And we're going to show the world how to love.